Hello and welcome to another episode of I Draw, You Watch. This one's a little bit more I ink, you watch, because I've already drawn the images and this is just me filming me ink them. This comic is based on... this comic is about how I come up with strips sometimes when I am at a loss, or I've run out of ideas, or I feel like I've run out of ideas, or I can't think of any good ideas. This is a semi-true event that happens, not just the one time that I depict in this strip, but every time I'm at a loss and I'm trying to think up ideas. If I haven't got the basis of an idea when I sit down to start drawing, which sometimes happens just because real world stuff, it takes over, and I'm concentrating on my actual job, or I'm concentrating on my relationship with my wife or my mum, or moving house, or anything. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is the time I'm scheduled to sit down and draw, and I'll sit down and draw and go, oh wait a minute, I haven't got anything on my list of ideas. And I keep a notepad, I keep on my iPhone notepad a list of vague ideas that just pop into my head, or some quite fleshed out ideas. But sometimes I'll sit down and I'll go, oh wait a minute, I've got nothing. So what I then tend to do is just look around the room, and I'm looking at the room and I go, oh, sofa, door, light fitting, sconce, candelabra, shed, swing. This is what I do, and I just go around the room going, so what can I make a joke out of here? And then I think back to some of my old strips and I think, oh, maybe I can flesh out this idea, or oh, there was that story I wanted to do, that storyline I wanted to do, maybe it's time to start that. And well, what's the first joke in that storyline then? And what ends up happening is I sit there for a good 25 to 30 minutes staring at things, not coming up with anything funny at all. But on this occasion I was literally staring at the grain on the table and how it moved, and the shapes it was making. I was thinking, there's something in this, and so I literally and it was like a mental breakdown. So I thought I'd draw that in the style of me having an actual mental breakdown, which is why it's my my avatar in this strip rather than Warren or Lawrence or any of the other characters, because it was my mental breakdown in a coffee shop in Lakeside. But so that's what this comic's about. Obviously the link is below if you want to check it out, but I'm sure you've already seen it because it was, I think, one of last week's strips, or possibly the week before. Not a lot's been happening in the world since E3. Obviously there was a massive hit of information on games and stuff last week, but since then there's been a slow trickle of things and extra information and whatnot. We found out there was another Civilization Revolution game coming out, and it's going to be exclusive to iOS, at least at first. Civ Rev was one of those games where you don't realise how much time's passing, and you just, oh, I'll just give it one more go, I'll just have another go, oh go on, I'll just do one more, and then all of a sudden you've done you've been playing through your dinner time and you're wasting away into like some kind of orphan. So yeah, I don't think I'll have time to play that. But if it's on iOS, and I'll get it on my iPhone, then maybe I will, because I don't know. I'll probably end up sitting on a toilet with my legs going to sleep while I'm trying to play it, when I thought I'd just have a quick 5 minutes. But yeah, that's the only real bit of information gaming wise that's come out. This strip's quite a quick one because it's just the one person in each panel, and the second panel's a silhouette job. The reason I did that is because I wanted to draw like a window with like a sunset type thing to sort of signify the passage of time, like that I'd been sitting there for a fucking age, which I had. But obviously a silhouette is really easy to do. I don't know if I actually do the colouring in this one, but if I do, I'll talk you through how I do sort of a sunset type thing, because basically I need to fill the time, and I haven't got that much to talk about. Obviously the World Cup is going on at the moment, and England are already out. which sucks because when we've got into World Cups, we've generally at least got through to the knockout stages, so it's lasted more than a week. But I don't know. We looked up for it against Italy, and then when we came to play Uruguay, everyone's saying it was a good performance and everything else, but I don't know what game they were watching because it just seemed poor to me. We didn't want to close down. We didn't want to. Just didn't seem interested. Didn't look like we wanted to win it until about 15 minutes to go, and then we got the goal, and then we looked like we might go on and get another one, but then we didn't, and they did, and it was always going to be fucking Suarez. I'm sure you Liverpool fans are fucking happy as a picking shit that he plays for you and that, but as an England fan who's not a Liverpool fan, fucking hate the bloke. Okay, let's move away from that because it's just depressing me. So, what else has happened in the world? Not a lot, as it turns out. I've been finding it difficult to, not difficult. What's the word? I've been trying to find new ways to promote everything, the videos, the website, the comic, etc., and it's hard to nail down just what I need to do to bring it to people's attention, the right people's attention. Obviously, I've been running ads on, or I have run ads on Project Wonderful before, but Project Wonderful is basically, thousands or hundreds at least, comic artists like myself advertising on comic artist sites like myself. So the only people I'm really appealing to is their readership. And if their readership is their readership, you're very unlikely a new comic to steal a readership from another artist or another comic. All you'll do is maybe you'll be the one they look at after they look at their one. For example, if someone reads Garfield every day, and then someone shows them Snoopy, and they've been reading Garfield for 10 years, they might look at Snoopy and go, oh yeah, that's quite funny. But they won't go, oh, I'm going to read this instead of Garfield now. They'll either go, oh yeah, I might come and read this, and then they'll read Garfield, then they'll come and read yours, Snoopy. Or, they might read it in chunks, but they'll always read Garfield first. So I've been looking at other avenues to reach a readership for me, because there's millions of people in the world, and I think probably 5% of them know that there are comics on the internet, and they're not just in the back quarter of your newspaper. I mean, they're not in the newspapers a lot anymore anyway, but people don't realise that they can get the exact same comic fix that they get from reading the paper on the way to the train, on the way to work, or with their breakfast or whatever. I remember sitting and eating my breakfast before I went to school when I was a kid. I was sitting and eating my cereal, and my parents had the paper delivered, and I would read the back page because it would have. I wouldn't read the sport because I wasn't interested when I was at school, but I'm talking like primary school. But I knew that on the bottom of the back page there would be, Hagar the Horrible, which is a fucking god awful comic. Or there would be Snoopy, or there would be Peanuts, or there would be Garfield, Fred Bassett. These a lot of the ones in the English papers. And the same thing applies now, but it's just on the internet. So instead of, people don't get their papers delivered anymore. People don't really read papers because they get all the information from the internet. They've got BBC's website, or they've got Sky Sports News website, or Sky News website. So they don't bother getting a newspaper, which is why the newspapers are dying out, which is why they've stopped printing comics, because they think no one wants to read comics, but they do. But if you've got a Kindle Fire, or you've got a tablet or an iPad or whatever, a Surface, let's just mention all of them just in case one of them's listening, they want to send me a free one. You can go to these websites like mine where they have a comic every day that you can read. Or you can go to, and that's what I was looking at, sites where they've got, a number of the comics. so that you can go to one site and read all of the comics, and you know, choose from there. You find a readership, but I don't know. It's just hard to try and nail down the best way to try and grow a readership. It's always, you know, I've done all the research, and it's the big thing. That's what everyone wants to know. They want to know the magic ticket. They want to know, how do I grow my readership? And the basic answer is, if you make something that is funny enough, then people are going to want to tell other people. They're going to go, man, this was so funny. I was laughing for half an hour after I read this comic. Look at it, it's hilarious. And they'll put it on their Facebook, and then, you know, their 100 friends or 1,000 friends or however many they've got will look at it, and they'll either look at it, dismiss it, like 90% of the stuff on Facebook, because it's just like, oh, make tea and carry on, keep calm, make tea, and all those stupid things. Or, oh, like this if you've got a daughter. You know what I mean? Like, if you like this, if you like stuff. That's a comic. Don't tell anyone. Like this if you like stuff. That is a comic. What are you doing? I'm making a poster. What do you mean a poster? A poster for Facebook. I'm going to put it on the post. What does it say? It says, like this if you like stuff. And then on the third panel, it's like the Facebook picture image with like 20,000 likes or something like that. 200,000. That's a good comic. I'm going to write that down. See, this will prevent me from sitting in a coffee shop going mental. And that's how I come up with strips. Just by saying stuff like that, sometimes stuff will pop into my head, and that'll be a comic. It's not going to be the one that makes me, you know, a 1,000 readers, but like this if you like stuff. I've got to write it down, even though I'm recording this. I've got to write it down, otherwise I will forget. And then I'll be like, oh, what was that like thing that I did? Oh, I like it. So anyway, yeah, trying to grow my readership. That's what I've been trying to do, and I've been doing it by trying to get into communities such as webcomics.com, webcomic underdogs, things like that. I've been doing guest strips for cartoonists that are in a worse position than me, and by that I mean they can't get out their strips every day, and they're asking for people to help them, or I just offer the service in these community forums, and they say, oh, that'd be great, yeah, if you could draw one of my strips, these are my characters, if you go and look through my archive, and I go and have a look and I draw them. I've done one for a robot strip that's name escapes me now. I've drawn one for a comic called Jim's Comic. There was one about Space Marines. There was one about an alien that I did. I usually put them on the site when I've done them, so directing you to where I've guest drawn them. But yeah, you get a spike, and maybe you get, you know, out of the 100 or so people that read his comic, 10 come to my comic, and maybe 1 stays. So if you extrapolate that and you drew a comic for someone who had 100,000, that'd be great. 100,000 look at his, 10,000 come to mine, 1,000 stay. That would be great, but that's not how it works, because, you know, Penny Arcade are not asking me to draw one of their strips for them, or BVP is not asking me. You know, these are not the comics that are asking me to do it. And it's the magic thing. Everyone wants to know the magic thing, and it's just making something that's funny that people want to share without you asking them to share it. And if you do that, then your readership grows. But there comes to a point, and this is the point I'm at, where you've been doing it for a long time. Not a long time, because people have been doing it for a lot longer, but I've been doing it for over 2 years, and I want to start having something to show for the effort. And I don't mean monetarily, I mean my readership I need to see it increasing, not just staying at a plane. Because for this last 2 years it's been growing, because obviously it's gone from nothing, and then certain things like when Kaylee Quacko or fucking whatever her name is, when she retweeted one I did about the flash mob type thing, massive spike. Geiger retweeted one, Brad Geiger draws Evil Ink, he retweeted one that I did because it was a dad joke, and he's the king of dad jokes. you see these massive spikes, and obviously some people from those spikes, they stick around, and I've seen the growth go on, but I'm starting to plateau. It's not dropping, but it's not climbing as it was. Okay, so I'm getting to the point now where, if you look at my Google Analytics, from Friday through to Sunday, where I don't do a comic, there's a dip, and then I have a peak Monday through Thursday where I've got a comic every day, and that is exactly the same now. It has been for probably about a month, with the odd 10 uniques increase, which isn't, it's not nothing to be. There's people that'll be like, oh, you get 10 increases a week, or uniques, that's pretty good, man. It is, but when you're used to more than that, it's so that's what I've been doing. I've been actively trying to look at ways to promote it other than just letting the comic do the work for me, because you've got to work for it. You can't just expect it. I'll draw me comic, put it up, the rest will take care of itself. It won't. Some people get lucky and they've got lightning in a bottle, and they release that one strip that everyone goes fucking gaga over. And I mean, look at the geezers that draw XKCD and Cyanide and Happiness. They draw stickmen. They draw fucking stickmen. But it's jokes that appeal to a scientific community. Well, not Cyanide and Happiness, that's just nonsense. But XKCD appealed to a scientific community that shared it amongst their community, and it extrapolated from that. And then they made more generic jokes, and it's not for people who are cartoonists and connoisseurs of art. It's for people that like a joke, 2-second joke. And the art isn't the thing that's going to draw someone to a webcomic. It will draw an artist to a webcomic, but it won't draw the average person. They want to see something that's going to be funny. See, I can see what people talk about when they say it looks like I'm doing nothing. It looks like I'm doing absolutely nothing on the screen now. But I must be actually doing something. I guess I'm just shading, but yeah, it does look like I've done absolutely nothing for the last 2 minutes. I've actually got, next week I'm doing the colour section. I'm just going to comment on how I do colouring so that I can talk through when it looks like I'm not doing anything, because Jodie has mentioned, as well as a couple of others of you that watch these, that when I'm doing the colouring section it looks like the panel freezes and nothing's happening, where it's just because I'm selecting layers and whatnot. So next week it's just going to be about colouring. Oh, and I've lost my train of thought because I started talking about something else. What was I talking about? Yeah, working hard, basically. You can't just expect things to happen for themselves. I can't expect my comic to be Penny Arcade. It can't expect it to be the lightning in the bottle. I've come along a lot later than everyone else, so I've got to carry on working hard, and I've also got to work at creating avenues of readerships and getting people to come to my site that will like my kind of humour, and the kind of humour that you'll find in the strip, which it used to be, if you just asked me when I was 6 months in, I said, well, I just go to GameFAQs and I just go to IGN and I just go to Kotaku and I stick in the comments and I post strips that are based on the games that they're talking about. So in the Devil May Cry panel, I will talk about Devil May Cry comic that I drew and post the comic in there, and then people will come to this. It was easy but the problem is, how many gaming comics are there? Millions. And I don't particularly want to just do a gaming comic. I like games, but I also like everything else, and I like jokes. I like just funny jokes. So just draw. I don't know. Yeah. So it's been a real sort of inwards look to try and work out how to promote just a generic 3-panel comic that can appeal to anyone, because the jokes are the joke will appeal to someone who's 15 and someone who's 50, someone who's a grandma, someone who's a grandson. You know what I mean? It's just trying to work out how to promote that sort of comic to a group, to the people, so that they see it. I'm sure there are millions of people that would come to my comic every day if they knew about it, and it's trying to work out how to get them to know about it. So that's been my week this week, basically trying to get that kind of thing going on. Now I think in a few moments I'm going to start trying, because I'm just doing the background windows now, as you can see me drawing out the panels. I think I'm going to start doing the sunset. See, I don't know whether or not I did it or whether or not I cut it before I did it, because I knew that it would take a while. But I'm hoping that I can actually talk through with you how exactly I do a sunset. Or this works for anything like that: a sunset, a fire, any sort of gradient of light. And I don't know what I'm doing. I honestly have no idea. I think I'm doing it darker now because obviously I worked out that I'm doing it later at night, because the third panel will obviously be later because of the time difference I'm setting up in panel 2. But I've not really yeah, see, that's the last, the last slither of light coming through the window. That's what I've done there. Yeah, a little bit lighter. Yep, there we go. If we can just get onto it, because I've kind of plateaued. I've said plateau a lot in this episode. Ridiculous. I kind of reached the point where I was going to get ready to talk about sunsets, and now I've right, here we go. So to do a sunset, what you want to do is you want to start with whatever the colour is that because sunsets are different. They run from oranges to purples to all sorts of colours. So obviously I've gone for a night. You want to have whatever the sky around it is going to be, whether it's a deep dark orange, red or purple. So you start off with that, and then from there you draw a line fairly near the top to about halfway down. So depending on where you want. So you can see I've drawn a curve there at about 2/3 to 3/4 up, and then all you need to do is pick a spot on that colour chart. So I've just realised I've not done it on a new layer. That's all that is. You pick a spot on that colour chart, and instead of moving the spot that you pick to the lighter section, you move the slider at the right hand side and you move it up slightly. So you do.
Avast virus database has been updated.
Bloody Avast. So you start with a dark orange, and then you go a little bit lighter, and then you move it up a little bit more. Then you do the next colour, and you can see the difference in colours. When the colour window comes up, you can see in the top right hand corner the different colours. So you've got the colour is orange, and then there's a lighter orange, and then you just keep drawing layers like this, getting lighter and lighter as you get to the bottom. See the image at the top right, it's got a dark orange and then a slightly lighter colour above it. You just keep getting lighter and lighter. Obviously I'm doing a curve because I want to oh my god, my vocabulary's just gone to shit. I was on a night last night and it's just gone to shit. I want to suggest that it's the sun. Obviously that's why I'm doing a curve. So I get lighter and lighter from oranges, from the dark red of the background through to the oranges, through to yellows, to a very light yellow, to a very pale yellow, to an almost white. And then you do the gradient all the way down, and once you've got all those layers, it looks fucking god awful. But that's when Photoshop's wonderful little Gaussian blur comes in, because that selected area that I've got there, and because obviously I did it on a new layer so it doesn't blur anything else around it, just that layer, you can go into Gaussian blur and you can select how much you want it to blur, and if you blur it about 3/4, probably a bit better than that, that's it. I've gone 9/10, and then you've got ready-made sunset. You can do the same thing with fire, except fire goes the other way around. But yeah, that's it. And then you draw the window frame in, which I do now, and all of a sudden you've got the sunset out of a window. Pretty awesome. That's actually one of the worst ones I've ever done. I actually thought it looked better than that, so I'm actually not as pleased that I talked through this one as I would have been any of the other ones I usually do, because that one looks fucking awful. The one I did for the Mayan the Mayan joke when the Mayan calendar was run out. So sort of like November 2012, whatever it was. That one was a lot better than this one. This one doesn't actually look that great at all. Probably done with being more blurred than it is, and I think I've jumped too far in the colour from the sort of burnt orange to the yellow. That's far too. There should be more layers in that, dissecting it. But what are you going to do? I was obviously in a rush because I was sitting in a coffee shop and I'd been sitting there for 25 minutes without drawing fuck all. So I was probably pushed for time to get on with getting out and getting back to my actual job. Oh well, anyway. Hope that was helpful for you at least. You can get the basic idea of what I was saying. And if it wasn't helpful and it was just a load of nonsense, then, what can I say? That's what I'm about. Spreading nonsense. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of I Draw, You Watch. Or sorry, I Ink and Colour and You Watch. Next week's will be a little bit more fully fleshed, and hopefully there'll be some more information about stuff that's come out of Ep13 that I can talk about. I also want to talk about the end of Game of Thrones because that ended, so I can talk about that as well and my thoughts. But until then, I hope you have a lovely day, whatever you're doing, and because I'm going to be doing a fucking 16-hour day at work tomorrow when this is posted, so fucking you'll have a better day than me. Oh, I'm rambling. Have a good day. Comics posted below. Fuck, just say goodbye, Ian. Goodbye, Ian.